Three, two, one. And we are live on both YouTube and Family Home Church, YouTube, Facebook. Blessings, blessings, blessings. I expected to get on. I could have got on about 6:30, but I was doing something. But here we are. It's 7 o'clock. Actually, my computer says 6:59 to be exact. But anyways, we are on live at 6:59, 1/19/2022. We are in Genesis chapter. Lost my Bible. Oh, there it is. Chapter 37 and 38. Now, all our lives, who have been a Christian and who has been in church for a lot of their lives, has heard the story of the colors of Joseph's coat and how different things. This is what we're reading tonight. Now Jacob dwelled in the land of his father, in the land where his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. This is the history of Jacob. Joseph, being 16 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers. And the lad was the sons of the and the lad was with the sons of Beha, the sons of Zelpha, his father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report to them to his father. Brought a bad report to them to his father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was a son of his old age. Also, he made the tunic of many colors. He was also the son, and it doesn't say this here, but he was also the son of the wife that he loved the most, Rebecca. She was the most beautiful. That's the woman he wanted, and they made him. His father-in-law made him have Leah instead of her first, and he had to work for her again. But so it was his favorite wife, the woman he wanted from the very beginning. So that was another reason. I do believe that's personal belief. A lot of people say that. A lot of preachers will preach that, but the thing is, it doesn't say that in the Bible. But when his brothers saw that his father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him, because Benjamin was born even older. He was even older when Benjamin was born. Now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even the more. Moral of this story is probably you shouldn't tell them. But if he didn't tell them, things wouldn't have happened. If things didn't happen, then his people would have probably perished. So he said to them, "Please hear the dream which I have dreamed. There we were binding sheaves in the field. Then behold, my sheaf rose and also stood upright, and indeed your sheaf stood all around and bowed down to my sheaf." Oh, excuse me. And his brother said to him, "Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Okay, so if you think your dad loves one of your brothers more than others, then yeah, you're gonna not like him too much. You're gonna like, I can't stand that brother of mine. And then he's got a beautiful coat that's like made a pretty beautiful many color coat. Then he says, "My sheaf was standing and your sheep were bowing." So yeah, they're mad. I mean, it says the word hate. I can never hate anybody. I hate a lot of things that people do. I hate the acts of homosexuality, because homosexuality is a sin in the Bible, and it's wrong. I hate the acts of people who lie. I hate when people lie about me, to me, or about my family, or when they lie to try to get something. I hate when ministers do that. But the person itself, I don't think I hate anybody. I hate rapers and murderers, and murderers who rape rapists. That's something else. I hate the religious leaders because their religion is going against the word of God. But I don't hate the person. I love the person, pray for the person. they actually hated him. They couldn't stand mad at him. Then he dreamed still another dream and told it to his brothers. Look, I have dreamed another dream. At this time, the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed down to me. So he told it to the father and his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said, what is this dream you have dreamed? Shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come to bow down before come down come to bow down to the earth before you? And his brothers envied him, but his fathers kept the matter in his mind. Now you told the second dream. Now your brothers are really mad. I mean, they're so angry at you. They hate you so much. They're getting ready to do to you. Then his brothers went and fed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, are not your brothers feeding the flock in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them. So he said to him, here I am. Then he said, please go and see if your brothers are well. Please go and see if it is well with your brothers and well with the flock, and bring back word to me. So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. Now a certain man found him, and there he was wandering in the field, and the man asked him, saying, what are you seeking? So he said, I am seeking my brothers. Please tell me where they are feeding the flock. And the man said, they have departed from here, for I heard them say, let's go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. No, it's not Dothan, Alabama. It's in Dothan, where they lived near where Israel becomes Israel later on. Now when they saw him afar off, even before he came near, they conspired against him to kill him. Then they said to one another, look, this dreamer is coming. Come therefore, let us kill him and cast him into a pit. And we shall say, some wild beast has devoured him. We shall see what will become of this dreamer, his dreams. But Reuben heard it. And remember, Reuben's the oldest. He was the firstborn of Leah, the firstborn, period. And he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said to him, shed no blood, but cast him into the pit which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, that he might deliver him out of their hands and bring him back to his father. Reuben might have despised him and hated him, but because he was the eldest and he was smart and intelligent enough to know that killing him was a bad idea, and he was going to bring him back to his father. Besides, he was only 17. He was still young. So Reuben was going to just let them throw him in the pit, scare him a little bit, and then he was going to come back and take him and bring him back to his dad. So it came to pass when Joseph had come to his brothers that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the tunic of many colors that was on him, and then they took him and cast him out of the pit. And the pit was empty; there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat a meal. Then they lifted up their eyes and looked. There was a company of Ishmaelites. Ishmael. Who's Ishmael? The firstborn of Abraham by the Egyptian woman. The Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels, bearing spice, balm, and myrrh, and they were carrying them down to Egypt. They're getting ready to trade. They're traders, trading to Egypt. So Judah said to his brothers, and it's amazing here. Think about who this is. This is Judah, the tribe of Judah. There's a man named Judah who betrays Jesus. Interesting, huh? What profit is there if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. And let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother in our flesh. And his brothers listened. Then Midianite traders passed by, so the brothers pulled Joseph out and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. How much was Jesus sold for? His was 30 pieces. And Judah got 30 pieces of silver. So that's inflation. Looking over at my wife, it's inflation. When he had to get more money, he had to get 10 more pieces of silver. Think about it, it was inflation. Then Reuben returned to the pit. See, Reuben wasn't there. A lot of people don't realize this when they read this part here. Reuben was not eating with his brothers in the meal when the caravan was coming through. He was doing something else, maybe tending the flock, maybe hunting. I don't know. It doesn't say. That part's not important. He was not with his brothers because he went back to the pit. And indeed, Joseph was not in the pit, and he tore his clothes. And he returned to his brothers and said, "The lad is no more, and I, where shall I go?" He didn't know what they did. So they took Joseph's tunic, killed a kid of goats, and dipped the tunic in blood. Then they sent the tunic of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, "We have found this. Do you know what it is, your son's tunic or not?" Playing your father like that. Children, don't ever do anything wrong about your family. And he recognized it and said, "It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him. Without doubt, Joseph is torn in pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes, put sackcloth on his waist, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I shall go down into the grave of my son in the morning." Thus the father wept for him. Now the Midianites had sold him to Egypt, to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. We'll hear more about Joseph, I think, tomorrow. Yeah, chapter 39, because we're going to hear about Judah a little bit. So Joseph sold, it doesn't even say how much they got for him. They gave him 20 silver pieces. They probably got 30. I would assume they marked it to Potiphar for 30 pieces, saying, "Hey, this is a nice young lad. He's good, strong, he'll be good." And so they probably got not double their money. They probably got that extra 10 pieces back. They got their 20 pieces plus 10 more. I bet you anything. And there's nothing in the Bible that says whether or not he did or not. I don't believe. Even in later scriptures, I don't believe. But my personal belief is that they marked it up. Chapter 38. And it came to pass that Judah departed from his brothers. And remember, he's the one that said, "Let's sell them." And visit a certain Adullamite whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of the certain Canaanite whose name was Shua, and he married and went into her. She conceived and bore a son and called his name She conceived again and bore a son and called his name Onan. And she conceived yet again and bore a son and called his name Shelah. He was at Chelzib when she bore him. Then Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. And that's what's going to happen to many people in the day of judgment. God's going to just send them to hell. We read that in Revelation. Now, he's not doing that now, but even in Acts, he did that, in Ananias and Sapphira, just for lying to the Holy Spirit, for being evil. And Judah said to Onan, "Go into your brother's wife and marry her and raise her an heir for your brother." But Onan knew that the heir would not be his, And it came to pass when he went to his brother's wife that he admitted on the ground, lest he should give the heir to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, therefore the Lord therefore killed him also. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter in law, remain a widow in your father's house till my son Shelah is grown. For he said, lest he also die like his brothers. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. Now, in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went into the sheep to up to his sheep shearers at Timnah, he and his friends Hera and the Adunamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. So she took off her widow's garments, covered herself with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in the open place which is on the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him as wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a harlot, because she had covered her face. Then he turned to her by the way and said, please let me come into you. For he did not know it that she was the daughter-in-law. And you guys thought soap operas were bad. The best soap opera in the world is the Bible. And he said, I will send you a goat from the flock. So she said, will you give me a pledge till you send it? Then he said, I will pledge. What pledge shall I give you? So she said, your signet and cord and your staff in your hand. Then he gave them to her and went into her, and she conceived by him. She so she arose and went away and laid aside her veil and put her garment on her widowhood. And Judah sent in the young goat in the hand of his friend of the Abunamite to receive his pledge for the woman's hand, but he did not find her. Then he asked the man, place, where's the harlot who was open by the roadside? And they said, there was no harlot in this place. I would have been like, oh, Crawl, what happened? What was I with? So he returned to Judah. So he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. Also, the men of the place said, there is no harlot in this place. Then Judah said, let her take them for herself, lest she be shamed. For I sent this young goat, and you have not found her. And it came to pass after 3 months that Judah was told, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, played the harlot. Furthermore, she is with child by harlotry. So Judah said, bring her out and let her be burned. Okay, so you went and slept with her, now you want to kill her. When she was brought out, she sent the father-in-law, saying, by the man to whom this belonged, I am with child. And she said, please determine who these are, the signet and cord and staff. So Judah acknowledged them and said, she has been more righteous than I, because I did not give her to Shelah, my son. And he never knew her again. And it came to pass at the time of giving birth, that behold, twins were within her womb. And so it was, when she was given birth, that one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his hand, saying, this one come out first. Then it happened, as he drew back his hand, that his brother came out unexpectedly. And she said, how did you break through? This breach be upon you. Therefore his name is called Perez, after his brother came out who had the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zerah, or Zerah, I should say. Spelled Zerah. Zerah. Never assume that the hand is first. The head's supposed to be first, anyways. And tomorrow we get to read about Joseph. I like Joseph's story. We get to read Joseph being a slave. And what happens with him on verse 39 and 40 is tomorrow night. And that would probably be about 7:30 because of my other obligations to have. So probably about sometime between 7 and 7:30 tomorrow, we will start with Genesis 39 and 40. God bless you all. Like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Questions, comments, ask away. I'm trying to get to the end here. There we go.